Connie Willis, the podcast. Taking you into new ways of thinking, even providing answers to questions you've often pondered. Connie Willis, the podcast. This is a Connie Willis exclusive. What you're about to hear has never been heard anywhere else. This is Connie Willis, the podcast.
Thank you for being here. Connie Willis with you. You can always find me at conniewillis.com. Hear me on Coast to Coast AM, and of course hear Connie Willis, the podcast. I appreciate that you're here and you've been supporting the show. Thank you so very, very much for that. Make sure you go to your notifications and settings inside your directory to get all the notifications. In fact, in some of the directories, whether you're on Apple, Spotify, I know that I come to you out of Spreaker, and I know that with Spreaker, we can do live chats and live shows if you are over here. If you're at the other ones, you'll get them later, but that also includes a live chat. So, and inside your settings, wherever you might be, look for auto download. Auto download. That way you don't miss anything, because sometimes you can just keep the sessions up, or you can also take them away. So I could always take them away. So make sure you download those and you won't miss anything. And if you do the automatic download, you'll be safe that way. That's why they've added that. Some people don't want to do that, and then others are like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. I don't want to miss anything. So that's what you want to do, auto download. I'm at Spreaker, and it's called Connie Willis, the podcast. Still to come on the podcast, we've been doing a lot with Robert Treat, but still to come, Steve G. Jones will be joining us, June Lundgren, Jerry Wills, lots of good friends out there to come and talk about their abilities, their strengths, what they do, and what they know. Currently been doing a ton with Robert because, hey, he's got great information and you guys are wanting it too. Going back to your Q&A, the things that you wrote in and said, would you ask him or will you tell him things that I want to know? Well, now you can go to his website and you can contact him directly, talk with him directly, and learn more about him. And that is robtreat.com. Treat is T-R-E-A-T. One of the people that wrote in too wanted to know where your dogs were, and they had said that they were in a facility for a month, and they had to have people take care of her dog. And she also said it was because of my dog that I woke up one morning and left that facility. And, you know, that's what does it, you know, that purpose again. And animals are perfect for that. They're pets, they're souls, you know, they're your friends. They're your friends. It's hard to say pet, animal, you know, I still do, or dog. It's like my little best friend, Penny Girl. Hey, that was a little Penny Girl. It's my best friend. A little Yorkie, and a little dog and canine and all that. But man, she was more than all that. She was totally the best. Bill also wrote you again saying, hey, I want to learn more. Here's my number. So you're going to get all these.
Okay.
Bonnie even wrote back again here. Or no, I think I just got it twice. Oh, sorry. But she definitely wants to help you out with meals and also she's like, being sick and alone is wrong. I can maybe bring meals, check in, the dogs. All sweet. So Lisa, also with a phone number for you. She wants to help, concerned about your dogs. No idea where he is, but I want to help.
And, the girls are definitely going to be a motivator to heal as quickly as possible. I mean,
right on cue. right on cue.
I miss them after, if I'm gone a couple hours, I miss them. And when I owned the bar, you know, customers would always want me to hang out with them and have a drink, and I'd be like, no, I got to go home to my dogs. And people always made fun of me for that.
Oh, nothing. I think that's wonderful. Let's see here. We got a question. Unfortunately, the elite do want to take your property and kill you so they can have it all. You are an asset and owner's equity on a balance sheet. Married time. So, how do you feel that Steve's saying, hey, they do want everything and they want you gone? Is it that extreme?
Um, yes, it is. See, it's not really, even though we make it political and we interpret it as, political. Uh, Political is just another illusion that they created for it. They're not split. They're not political other than for show. It's an example. If you just look at politics as a whole, it's an example of how they treat us. They treat us like children, and we're quite happy to act like children. Like, you don't give
Interesting.
a child three choices. You give a child two choices. You can either eat it or you can go hungry. You can either go to school or you can get a whipping, right? You can either vote Republican or you can vote Democrat. You can either be conservative or you can be liberal, right? That's the way they treat us. Our choices are that of a child. And that was, you know, part of what I keep saying about us needing to wake up and stop acting like children, because the moment we stop acting like children is the moment that they stop getting away with it.
Mark, when Robert was working undercover, did he report his information back to Glen or someone else? And how did they utilize the information? That is coming up here in just a few.
Informant. Hear Connie Willis on Coast to Coast AM.
When you say sometimes you got the bigger picture, are there some bigger pictures that we've never heard of that you can say?
All that year we were talking, there was a lot of talk about, depopulation in Africa. And this is when the construction of that big base in Djibouti was almost complete. And I just learned that there were like five-star hotels there at the base in Djibouti. And I was like, and I asked one guy, he was a military guy there at one of the parties, high-ranking Pentagon guy, and I said, what on earth do we need a base in Djibouti for? I said, I said, what war, what action are we expecting in Africa? And he said, we're not expecting a war in Africa. I said, then why are we spending billions and billions of dollars building a base there? And he said, well, we have a longer term agenda for Africa after it's depopulated. And that year also, there were several proposals put forward for, different means of sterilizing the African population so they couldn't breed anymore, releasing viral diseases. And these were the years when we started seeing Ebola popping up, right? That's what I say is you hear things at these parties that corresponds to things that are actually going on, and it's kind of like an aha moment, right? Nobody really admits anything, especially not officially, right? Everything that's said in any official meeting is like vague, open to interpretation, like, hey, I really wish, somebody would do something and get rid of that guy, right? Somebody in that room may interpret that as, hey, that guy needs to be killed. Other might interpret, that he just needs to be discredited or removed from a project. So what these people say officially is never anything you can pin on them. But what they say, casually, what they think is off the record is something different, and you start seeing little corresponding things. So we're talking about depopulation in Africa. They're mentioning, viral infections, diseases. And then simultaneously, you're seeing, like Ebola popping up in Africa. You're seeing AIDS epidemic exploding in Africa. Well, they're talking about controlling the African population through, breeding control. And now you have AIDS blowing up in Africa. Well, that was supposed to be a discouraging thing to keep them from sleeping with each other and getting each other pregnant. Didn't work. Like I said earlier, most of their plans don't work. Um, and I think they're just so far removed from the rest of us that they don't understand human psychology anymore. Um, so they try things. It doesn't work on the population. It just ends up creating another mess, and they try to exploit that mess. Um, and so much of all their projects are like that. If you're not on the inside where you're having personal conversations, um, and you're not like one of the top dogs, you're never going to put all the pieces together. And even for me, what I think is going to happen will still happen, but it doesn't happen in the way that I expected. Like I knew something big was coming in 2019, but I never saw COVID coming. I didn't think they would actually release a virus on us, on America and Europe. Um, I would have thought it was something else. So I knew something was going to happen, but what we got was not what the direction I expected it to come from.
Is something coming next?
They want to depopulate. Part of the agenda is a depopulation of the United States and China um, by the year 2040, right? It was originally 2050, then they reprojected it to 2040. Now, this is going back to what we talked about before in one of the previous things about how they use complex models, right? And they treat us like livestock. And they treat everything as their property, including us. So they're looking at birth rates, longevity rates, death rates, everything that we provide in our census, that all that data goes into their model to try and predict what we're going to buy, how we're going to eat, what the trends would be if we're left alone, uninterfered with. Will they be able to meet the needs for those trends? Do they need to make a correction, right? So they know with population explosions, they're not going to be able to feed all of us, right? They don't have the manufacturing capability to provide, protein rations to every human being on the planet. The resources are maxed out. So they decide this is how much of the population we're going to cull. We need to have a war here. We need to have a disease outbreak there. We need to suppress that economy. We need to boost that economy. And that's how they play with us, right? And then they spin it in the news like, oh, it's just inflation. No, it's on purpose, right? And the entire system was designed like that. Anybody who knows how fractional banking works, how money comes in, how money is created, look at the populations who were affected by those policies, what populations are unaffected by those policies. And then you look at things like, Gaddafi, right? Libya. Why did we have to go in there and destroy Libya? They weren't really doing anything to us, but yes, they were. Gaddafi was planning on putting his country on a gold standard, right? Gasoline was free to his people. Like he was actually doing things for his people. Like I'm not saying Gaddafi was a good guy. He wasn't. But what he started doing for his people was a good thing, right? And we don't look at things the way we should as a people because we're trained not to, right? We pay for water, right? The water comes out of the ground that we live on. This is our country, but we have to buy our water from a private company. Like, who invented this system and why did we put up with it? So they take things that should be rightfully ours, by God-given right or by right of our creator or, by right of living on the land. And they usurp a say-so in it. And that say-so is all part of the system by means of control to move us this direction or that direction. But they know that they can't supply us all. So the things they don't have control over are like third world countries, emerging markets, right?
So let me ask this. Are the aliens coming down and then everything changes, or are we going to go, all of us human, going to grab a stick, light it on fire, and we all rush toward the elite?
Well, let's just say, if the aliens did show up, like say tomorrow morning we woke up, there's a big spaceship in the sky, right? Our entire attitude as a species would change, and it would change in a way that the elites have no control over, okay? So before that day happens, and they're going to come, there will be a day when the real aliens arrive, but
they're here already and other different species, but you're talking the ones that are in control of what's next.
Yeah, I mean, if the good aliens appeared in all their glory, like a fleet of spaceships, a giant mothership in the sky, indisputable, every eye will see, nobody can deny that's there, okay? If that's the good aliens that show up first, right, there's going to be a whole interaction between the entire human race. We're going to change, like literally in the twinkling of an eye. Like the moment you see those spaceships hanging in the sky, Everything that you thought you knew will change, and you will become open to things you never thought you would be open to. The elite humans have no control over that, right? So they're going to stage a hoax first, and they're going to control that reaction. Okay, so when we first see the alien ships, their plan is for it to be their creation, not the real deal.
Informant. What you just heard has never been heard anywhere else. This is Connie Willis, the podcast. Informant. Learn more about Connie, her guests, and be sure to join her private membership shows, Blue Rock Talk and Connie After Dark, at ConnieWillis.com. Whistleblower.